For anyone that's been waiting for the Toronto real estate market to bottom out, and there's a lot of you out there, it looks like you just about missed the bottom. This March saw a return of multiple offer competition, an average price that grew month over month, and while still lower year over year, has also narrowed from about 18% year over year this past February to under 15% from March of 2022. In this video, I'm going to provide a Toronto real estate market update using stats from March of 2023 and show you how quickly prices change in the most competitive price categories. Hint, it moved a lot faster than most market timers and bears would believe. And you're gonna want to watch to the end where I show you some real examples for what some of these very comparable homes were selling for in the peak of the spring of 2022, in the valley of the fall of 2022, and what they're selling for now. Because the price swings will really surprise you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jonathan Lee and I'm a Toronto area realtor. If you're interested in Toronto area real estate content, hit subscribe. And if you want to learn more or need guidance on what's happening out there in the market, schedule a call with me through the Calendly link below. Seasonally speaking, March tends to be the start of the spring real estate market, but the time that I like to call the pre-spring market, which is January, February, didn't quite suggest any rapid change to be coming down the line. Usually, if we see strong January, February months, which generally will have fewer listings but a lot of active buyers, especially those that resolve to buy in the new year, then we know that spring will be strong. This January to February, interest rates were and are still high. Economists were talking about a looming recession, and buyer confidence just didn't seem to be there as the future felt uncertain. And when is it really ever certain? But the sudden collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank in the US and Credit Suisse in Europe has brought into question whether most federal banks' abilities to continue to raise interest rates is even possible without some very drastic effects to the economy beyond just a recession. Even though we're not where the federal banks want to be from an inflation perspective, nowhere near the targeted 2% annual inflation rate in Canada, the sentiment is sort of, well, we're gonna have to wait it out. And buyers who are extrapolating this period now as being the peak of interest rates are now shopping with more confidence that interest rates will drop in early 2024 or fall of 2023, and some are even suggesting sooner. But why buy now? Well, if you buy a $1 million home with 20% down, a 30-year mortgage, and a 6% variable interest rate, your monthly payments will be about $4,800 a month. And if rates drop down to, say, 4%, let's just say 1 year from now, that monthly mortgage will drop down to $3,800, so about $1,000 a month. And some people, not everyone, but some, believe that buyers will still be willing to spend the same amount per month to service their mortgage, even when rates come down. So that means that in a year or so, when interest rates come down, that $1 million house in 2023 at 6% will cost about $1.25 million in 2024 at 4%. So with that rationale, you're better off buying today because, as the adage realtors are floating around these days goes, you date the rate, but marry the price. And if you were to say, John, that's a bit of a reach, right? I mean, they're betting that rates will drop that quickly, that the federal banks will just roll over to a 5% interest rate, that we're not going to see more power of sales or foreclosures happening, that this looming recession is no longer an issue, that unemployment won't affect the housing market, that buyers will be open to committing their life savings and 40% of their pre-tax income to homeownership for the rest of their lives. All to which I'd say, yeah, you're totally right. It's like buying now is a parlay on all these events potentially not happening. But call it a culmination of economic situations, expectations of a swath of new immigrants bringing their life savings with them, most of whom will imminently move into the GTA, and a huge amount of existing Toronto area residents that have a desire and a need to move. Seriously, over the past 2 years, I have a stack of people that I've had conversations with about moving, but just haven't done it for one reason or another. But buyers are coming out to shop and listings aren't out there yet. And as always, there are more buyers than sellers. So without further ado, let's get into the March market numbers. Average price is up month over month from $1,095,000 in February 2023 to $1,108,000 in March of 2023. Also narrowing is a year over year gap from about $239,000 in February to $190,000 in March. Sales and new listings are also up in March of 2023, with a sales to new listings ratio of 62% in March compared to a ratio of 57% in February. That means as a proportion of listings that came onto the market in March, more sales occurred this past month than in February. Similarly, listing days on market and property days on market are both down, meaning that properties are selling quicker in March than they did in February. When we look at the breakdown of average price, interestingly, Toronto freehold properties has actually dropped slightly, though I personally haven't quite felt that in the Toronto freehold market. But across the board, detached semis and townhouses are trending downward from what they were in February, while condos are actually trending upward to $732,000 from $728,000. But the 905 is actually up month over month for all freehold properties, detached, semi-detached, and townhomes, while being down for condo apartments. So likely upsizers and other first-time freehold buyers are opting to move out to the 905 rather than stay in the 416. Now I ran some heat maps for all freehold sales in Toronto between 700,000 and 1.5 million since September 2022. This table basically graphically represents where the distribution of sales happened between 700,000 and 1.5 million in the city of Toronto for freehold properties. And I wanted to show this on a chart to sort of give a graphical representation of what I feel is the most competitive market segment out there, which is attracting the first-time freehold buyer or the upsizers that need more space and are selling their condo apartments and moving into a house for the first time. And I thought this would be an interesting table to show just to see how the market is actively changing month over month, to really illustrate market sentiments and market behavior changes. So each of these cells here is a number of properties that sold that month within that price category. So for example, in September of 2022, there were 26 homes that sold between 700,000 and 800,000 in Toronto. Now, if you look at this table between September 2022 and January 2023, you can see that the most active price segment was between $900 and $1 million, where most of the sales landed in between this price bracket. But in February 2023, we started to see things trend a little bit higher, where there still were a number of active sales in between 900 and $1 million, but these other price brackets started to heat up. And in March of 2023, the most active price bracket was between 1.1 and 1.2 million. Now, I'd expect in April, this would become a bit more defined. We'd see fewer sales between 900 and $1 million and more happening between 1 and I'd say 1.3, 1.4 or so. So what does this mean in the competitive upsizer price bracket? Well, let me show you. I've chosen semi-detached homes that sold in the Uptown core neighborhood of Oakville, which is located right around Trafalgar and Dundas. And I chose this pocket because all the homes are of similar size, layout, and era, all being 3-bedroom, 2.5-story homes on approximately 22 by 100-foot lots, with a primary bedroom ensuite of about 2,000 square feet, all being built in the late 90s, around 1998, and having rear laneway style parking. Now, there are some slight differences between them. One of the homes has a finished basement with a kitchen. One home is fronting on a slightly busier section of the pocket, but these aren't features that should account for a 30 to 40% swing. And having them be of similar style and condition isolates them for the market perception of value. So as you can see, each of these 3 homes are located very close to each other. 2 of them are located on Roxton Road. This is a laneway to the back, and one is located on Glen Ashton. As you can see, it's a bigger road, so it's going to have a bit more traffic. House number 1, being 81 Glen Ashton, sold in September of 2022 for $1,075,000. It was listed at $1,177,000, so sold about 9% under list price. It was a 3-story, 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom semi-detached on a 22 by 103-foot lot with an unfinished basement. Keep in mind that this fall of 2022 is probably where I'd say the market bottomed out, and you're really able to take your time and negotiate hard on any of the properties that were available on the market at that time. There was very little movement, weren't a lot of active buyers, and the sellers that were selling were motivated. And let's show you 81 Glen Ashton. Now, 207 Roxton Road sold a few weeks back on March 19th, 2023 for $1.245 million. So about $175,000 higher than what 81 Glen Ashton sold for this past fall. Interestingly, it was also listed at $1,177,000, so it had the exact same list price as Glen Ashton. You can see similarly, it has a 22 by almost 100-foot lot. In terms of condition, it looks pretty similar to 81 Glen Ashton. And the last home that sold at the peak of the market is 188 Roxton Road that sold for $1,415,000 in March of 2022. It was listed at $1,438,000. Now, this one had slightly superior finishings in that it had a full basement apartment with its own kitchen and full bathroom. And it did have slightly better quality finishes in the main and upper, but there's still a $350,000 swing between 188 Roxton and 81 Glen Ashton, and a $175,000 difference between 188 Roxton and 207 Roxton that sold in March of 2023. Now here's the pictures of 188 Roxton. So where does that leave you if you're in that competitive price point but have moving needs? Well, it's not particularly optimistic, but if you come across a home that fits 90% of your needs and works for you, you should be decisive and seize it because that opportunity could disappear very quickly. So that's it for me today. If any of you need more guidance in your home search, you can schedule a call with me by clicking on the link below in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.